Hey everyone, Lindsay Mauk here. Welcome back to Dose of Social. If you're just joining us, this is part 2 of our conversation on old social media versus new social media. In part 2 of our 2-part episode, Kayla and I are diving deeper into how algorithms have changed, why followers aren't the flex they used to be, and what actually matters now when it comes to growth, engagement, and community. Let's jump back in.
So let's get into what everybody probably wants to know more of: growth and algorithms. Old social versus new social.
Dun, dun, dun.
Old social, followers were everything. And I feel like a lot of people are still stuck in that mindset. New social, reach is everything. Why do you think this shift happened?
I think the shift happened because of the platforms themselves and limiting organic reach, right? So I think that it was all about like, oh, I want to build my followers because then everyone's going to see things chronologically when I post them, right? So this idea of like building these followers, and I think followers is a total vanity metric, meaning it really doesn't mean much in the era of new social, but I still think people are stuck on like, oh, she has 15,000 followers or she has only 4,000 followers, whereas it's like not necessarily the case anymore. But in the era of old social, you would post something and the algorithm was chronological. So if Kayla, you were online when I posted a lovely photo because it's old social, you would see it because you're online. But now it's not like that. Like now I am seeing content in my feed that was posted 3 days ago, 5 days ago. Like I even had a client actually reach out to me recently and said, "Hey, why did you post this today? This happened 5 days ago." And I said, "We actually posted that 5 days ago." "Oh, I just saw it in my feed today." I said, "Yeah, that's because the algorithm it's not chronological. It's going based on like whenever you see it." So I would say that's the biggest difference right now. And it's a shift. And I would say, when did this shift happen? I think it's slowly been happening since the introduction of stories, quite honestly.
I would low key love it if Meta just one day decided to remove everybody's fake followers so we can see where everyone's account actually organically stands, because I think it would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that. And there's so many brands I've worked with over the years where they ask me to do a diagnostic review or an audit of their account. And I go through and I'm like, well, how did you grow your following? That's a question that we ask brands.
Yep.
How did you get your following? Oh, well, we had someone or we paid this. And oh gosh, okay. And I do want to point out one reason why you should not do that. If you're a brand listening right now and you're just like, well, I don't care, Lindsay and Kayla, I just want 30,000 followers because I want people to look and be like, hey, my business has 30,000 followers. Good on you. But here's what I want to tell you about that. If you decide that you're going to run ads, okay, and you're going to be serious about your paid advertising strategy, the first thing the machine learning on Meta is going to do when you're running ads is it's going to look at the composition of your followers, and it's going to look to find people like that to start testing out your content or testing out your product, or driving traffic to your website. If all those followers are fake and not really related to who your target audience is, you're going to have a harder time when you run ads on the paid side, and it's going to impact your budget. My clients who have built an organic, authentic following from scratch have had the best results with paid advertising, because it's like, boom, you're feeding the machine exactly what it needs to find the right people to surface that ad who are most likely to engage with your content or buy your product or services. So it really is in your best interest to build an organic following from the start for your brand.
To jump on what Lindsay just said, please do not buy followers. Do not do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's all I'll say there.
So I have a story about buying followers.
Like for yourself or a
for,
client?
for a
Okay.
brand that we worked with. They had an opportunity to collaborate with another account on Instagram. And the account on Instagram said, "We will give you between 1 and 5,000 followers who are interested in your brand for a price of $60." So the client asked me and said, "Lindsay, what do you think? Should we do this?" And I said, "I would advise against this. It's spam. It's not going to be the right followers for the account." And said, "Well, it's only $60. Why don't we try it?" Okay, sure. Let's try it.
Famous last words.
Famous last words. So it was a holiday weekend and the promotion went live. And I got a call from the client early on a Monday morning on a holiday weekend. And the client's like, "Help. This was a total scam. And now we have all these bots and people from who knows where following the account. And I don't want this happening." It's like, oh my gosh. So we had, over the course of the next several weeks and months, our team had to manually remove all of these followers from the client's account because they didn't want it to muck up their account and engagement, because you're adding 5,000 followers to your account, but they're not going to engage with your content. So now you just look like you have low engagement, which, back then mattered a lot more. So it ended up being, a hard lesson learned. And, it's definitely something I really wish I could just shout on a rooftop, like, "Please do not buy followers."
They still won't hear you.
It's like, wait, what? What was that, Lindsay? All right. So talking about algorithms a little bit more, Kayla, do you think small accounts today have a better chance to grow than they did in the old social era? See you
Definitely
shaking
not.
your head.
Definitely not. It is a lot harder to grow. Listen, organic growth has always been hard. I think it's just gotten a lot harder now, and people are still having a hard time realizing that. And so, as a new brand coming to social, starting a fresh new Instagram account with an idea of, I would like to get 100 followers a month, I wish you the best of luck. And if somebody is promising those results to you, I would run the other way.
Yeah, especially if you're a new brand. Obviously, if you're an established brand, 100 followers a month, if you have 5,000 people a day visiting your brick and mortar location, like, that's totally doable, right? But we're
Right.
talking about, like, doing the hard work, right? Like, really building a brand from scratch online. That's where it is going to take that time and dedication.
Yeah, and we just signed a new client who doesn't have any social media. We have to build everything from scratch. They are going to be very leads driven, and so I connected them with my paid advertising partners because that's not something we can guarantee at all. So we can help get your brand story out there, build your brand awareness, build your online community, but that's kind of where it stops with organic. And if you don't have a paid strategy, you should look into getting one.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the name of the game, right? I mean, at LTM Digital, we do organic social media, but only if there's a paid strategy attached to it now. Whereas before, we would take on brands and say, "Yeah, of course, we'll do your organic social strategy." But now it has to be part of what we call our holistic marketing plan, where we'll do it if you're running paid ads or you're doing email with us, because otherwise it's just very challenging to show results. It's especially in those specific areas. However, though, if you're working with an organic social media partner because you want to take the stress off your plate of managing social, and you need someone to help you create content for your business, and you need someone to create like a great storefront for you, like, absolutely you should be working with an organic social media marketing partner like Kayla and Golden Bird Marketing, but just making sure that you have the right understanding of the results that are going to be delivered. Like, the results are content. It's content creation, right? For
Yeah.
your business.
Yeah. And on top of that, with content creation, if you are focusing more on organic only and not getting into the paid era, but you also don't have any content to work with, it's going to make your job and or your organic social media specialist job a lot harder. It goes back to what we were talking about with creating reels with, founder content, people's face on videos and things like that. If you don't want to be on video or you don't have content for video and you're using stock imagery or whatever it might be, your reach is really only going to go so far with that too.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, and just making sure you just understand what you can do with the resources that you have and the time commitment that you can spend on it. And then also like your level of comfort with being on camera. I have to really push some of our clients to record,
Yeah.
hit record on social and send us content, and we are so fortunate to be in LA and be near a lot of our clients so we can pop in and help them film some of this content. We do shoots once a month at their location. But for our clients that are remote, we rely on them to film the content themselves and then send it to us so that we can edit it for social. So there's definitely like one of the things that we always recommend is like just pick a day and time. Just pick a window of time. It doesn't have to be all day. It doesn't have to be a half day. Just take a 2 hour window and say, all right, I'm going to record content and this is what I'm going to do during that time.
Yeah. What do you think people misunderstand about how the algorithm actually works today?
I think people don't understand that it's changed. I think that people just think it's the same old, and then they're like, "What? Why am I not getting seen? Why is my content not getting the amount of likes that it did back in the day?" I just think that people don't understand that the algorithm is constantly changing. It's constantly evolving. Like it's always changing, and what worked like 5 months ago is probably not going to work in like a month from now, right? So it's like it's always evolving, always changing, and I think that there's still this misconception of like, oh, well, I posted something and I created something and I posted it and people should like it. But the reality is like people may not even see it, right? So there are steps that you can take, right? So one I always recommend to our clients is after you post something to your feed, share it to your story. Okay? Because there is a whole subset of your audience that is not looking at your feed, may not even see content in your feed, but oh, your little circle pops up in stories, like they're going to go check out what you're doing. So I think that there are ways that you can be seen. But I would say, like, just the common misconception is just thinking that things work today like they did in 2018.
And it's interesting you said that about sharing your posts to story because there's a lot of people out there that are saying not to do that.
Did they say it limits your reach or it's not seen in your story? Like, what's the argument against that?
Off of the top of my head, I don't remember. I've seen it online and then I've also had people tell me like not to do that.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like it just helps amplify your content.
I
Um,
agree. I don't know
so
why that would do anything negative, but I was curious on your thoughts. Okay, Lindsay, so we're going to jump into community and engagement on social media. How would you say that community building has changed from old social to new social?
so I think in the era of old social, community was about followers and it was about growing followers, having this large follower count. Oh, does this person follow me? It was less about actual interaction with that person. It was just more about like amassing followers. And in new social, I think it's more about engaging with the audience that you have. So, meaning if someone comments on your post, making sure you reply to that comment, taking the conversation to DM, having conversations, using automation tools like ManyChat. We had a great conversation with Anna Tuchka, who's the VP of Growth Marketing at ManyChat, in a previous episode, and she talked about ways that you can use those tools to help you engage and build your community. So I think now it's just a little bit different. It's less about just like, oh, here are all my friends. It's like, okay, well, how am I communicating with those people and building that community and like building more of an authentic relationship with each person one on one.
Mhm. I think that makes a lot of sense.
What about community management, Kayla? We had a great episode earlier this year where we talked with Mimi Banks on the importance of community management in social media in the era of new social. Would you say it's more important now, or would you say it's just different?
I would say it's just as important and a little different. I think with community management, obviously you want to make sure that your community is also feeling heard. This is a big thing we talk about with clients, but making sure you can tell the difference between somebody that's trolling and somebody that's actually upset with a situation online, because typically people will go to social media first. I think also it's just as important, but it's different, as in with everything being so saturated, you want to make sure you're building that authentic community of real followers. So it kind of goes into what we've been talking about throughout this whole episode, is making sure you're building a real community of real people that are within your target audience, but you also have to kind of stay on top of that. So engaging with their posts, engaging with their stories, and making sure you're sounding as human as possible and not a bot. I know with old social, there was a lot of, what was it, the engagement pods, which you'd be in a group of like 15 other accounts and you'd comment on when you just posted, and then all of those 15 people would go and like and comment, and then Instagram caught on to it and got rid of those. So I think it's just going into having real, authentic connections online.
Yeah, I mean the engagement pods still exist in certain forms today too, but yeah, I
Yeah.
hear you.
So, Lindsay, what's an example of a brand doing 2018 social in today's world?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would say if you're still using the custom Instagram filters, that's definitely one. The one definitely like a
Red flag,
2018
red flag.
social. Red flag. I would say brands that post to their feed and then don't do anything on stories. I see a lot of those brands in today's world where they're still just posting in the feed and they have no vibe on stories whatsoever. And I'm like, what are you doing? Talk to your audience on stories. Like you're missing an opportunity. So I would say that's like the biggest example is brands just like anytime you see a brand just like posting one photo too, and maybe it's like cropped in a square and not adjusted to the new preview size, that's definitely 2018 social as well.
Yeah. We love when clients go rogue and post in a square.
So fun. So let's talk about frequency for a second in new versus old social. Because I know in old social is this idea of like you got to post frequently, 5 times a week, every day, multiple times a day. Why is posting more not the answer in today's world of new social?
Yeah, again, social is super oversaturated. So posting more, I mean, we have a perfect example is we have a client that we have tons of content between what we're doing, what they're doing. We have some UGC partners, and that's a really great problem to have. But when you're over posting, you're not going to get as good of results on your posts anymore. And so we're seeing that certain reels aren't getting the amount of views that they used to because there's just too much going on, and we kind of need to re strategize. I would say consistency is key. So I know we've talked about this in a previous episode, but if you can commit to posting 2 times a week, every single week, that's great. Do that. Don't commit to posting 4 times a week and then this week you can only do one post and this week you can do two and then four. And, consistency is key. Push your posts out 3 posts a week, 3 times a week. Sorry. Push your posts out 3 times a week, every single week, and continue to be consistent. We also have a client in the product-based space where we were originally scoped to work with them, posting 4 to 5 times a week on their feed, one story a day. It wasn't doing bad, but it wasn't really moving the needle. And so we kind of came together with the client, we re-strategized, and we've changed to posting 3 times a week consistently on the feed. And we figured out what types of content was performing the best. So that's what those 3 posts a week are. And we're posting to stories twice a week, and we've seen an uptick in engagement. Now, I'm not saying this works for every brand. You need to kind of test and see what works best for you, but posting more on your feed is not necessarily the answer.
Yeah, and I always say to those brands that have a lot of content that they can potentially post in the feed, I say, let's move it to stories. let's post on the feed this many times per week, but then let's be really active on stories, because that's where you build that connection and like you build that relationship where someone's following you to see what you're posting every day and like seeing more behind the scenes content.
Yeah. Lindsay, what is the biggest thing brands need to unlearn about social media?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think the biggest thing that brands need to unlearn about social is that organic social media does not equal sales.
That was going to be mine. Like you read my mind.
It it's especially in new social, okay? In old social, maybe that worked. Maybe, not always. Mostly not. But in today's world of new social, like that is the biggest thing I want to help educate you as a business owner on, for those of you listening, because you create unnecessary pressure on your social team when you have them build a content plan for sales. That is not what social media is about. That is not what new social is about. New social is about building community. New social is about storytelling. New social is about behind the scenes content and reels and interviews and peeling back the layers behind your business, not necessarily saying, buy my product, right? That's what paid social and paid search is for, right? So I think that that is a really important thing for brands to unlearn, because once you release yourself from that goal of saying, oh, social needs to drive sales, then your creativity will really come through on your organic social and you're going to sell your brand without selling it. Mic drop.
That's a yeah. I was gonna say that's a really good point. Okay, so on top of that, where do brands waste the most time trying to replicate old social tactics?
Oh gosh. I mean, I think I think still being stuck on vanity metrics like followers, truthfully. I still see so many brands that are so stuck on that number. And I've literally had brands come to me and say, "We don't care if it's fake. We just want this number." And I'm like, you gotta get away from that. You gotta get out of that thinking. I understand why you think that's important, but you should also build it the right way. So I think a lot of brands waste time on followers and not enough on like authentic engagement, like who's commenting, who's DMing you, who's viewing your story. Like those are all the metrics that really matter in today's social media world.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
All right, so Kayla, let's talk about some actionable takeaways that our audience can have from this episode. I mean, we've shared a lot of great stuff, in my opinion. What are some of the non-negotiables that you would say are things that a brand must have for a modern social strategy in today's world?
I think it kind of goes back to everything we've both touched on. You need both an organic social media strategy and a paid social media strategy in the world today of social. You're not going to get by with just one of them, and there's different reasons as to why for both. So I think non-negotiable, you need organic strategy, paid strategy, email marketing strategy. Boom.
Yeah, if you want to grow in today's world, you have to have some component of paid. And if you don't have a large budget for paid advertising, that's okay. Just start somewhere. Just know that you need to do something. Like I teach social media and I have so many students who have come to me and said, "Oh, my business or the company I'm working for has a $500 a month budget for paid social. What would you recommend I do?" Like, okay, well, let's break that down day by day, right? That's $500 a month is roughly like what, $15 a day or so. A little, yeah, yeah, around, let's just say it's around $15 a day. Okay, so how are we going to spend that money? What are we going to do? What are we going to promote? What are our goals, right? So that type of a budget, you're not going to be generating sales necessarily, but you can drive awareness and you can drive engagement. So just making sure you're realistic with your expectations, no matter what your budget size is also very important to remember.
And Lindsay, if you could give one piece of advice to a brand stuck in old social habits, what would it be?
listen to this episode and really focus on unlearning those old social habits. If you are someone who is still not doing video for your business or brand, you got to get over that. Video is the future. It's been that way for many, many years now. It's only going to continue to get that way. If you are someone who has a personal brand or you're a creator, you've got to get comfortable being in front of the camera. Put that video in your face and just start talking and start to get comfortable with it. You don't have to do anything crazy. You don't have to give these long-winded diatribes or whatever. Like you could just literally like go like this, like, whatever, and then put some text over it. But I would say get out of your head a little bit and say, like, not saying like, oh, I'm not going to do these silly dancing reels on the internet. You don't have to dance on the internet to do videos. Like, you can do simple videos with yourself, just like pointing or making like very short comments. But I would really push brands to get unstuck with this idea that video is not for them, because I still come across brands like that and it always surprises me. I'm like, guys, come on, like you got to be doing this. So that would be my biggest takeaway there, is really, if you're not doing video yet, get comfortable with it.
I would say on top of all of that, if you're not on social media as a brand or a business, don't wait until it's too late and that you need to be on there. You need to be on there now. So contact myself, contact Lindsay. We're here to help.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're here for you. So if you guys have questions on this episode too, you know where to find us. You can hit us up on Instagram on Dose of Social. You can also message me personally at Lindsay Mauk if you have any questions for me. I'm happy to help. I have taught over 7,000 students in social media over the years, and I love when my former students reach out to me and just say like, "Hey, I have this question." Like, I'm happy to answer those as they come through. So let's build some authentic engagement and communicate on social. All right, that wraps up part 2 of our conversation on old social versus new social. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this episode, it's that social media, it's changed. And the brands that win today are the ones willing to unlearn what used to work and adapt to what is working now. If you have questions from this episode or want us to go deeper on a specific topic, send us a message on Instagram at Dose of Social. If you enjoy listening to Dose of Social, please take the time to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts. Each review or rating means so much to Kayla and myself. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.